and welcome back, everyone. So, do a little Christopher Watts update and address questions that have been emailed me, messaged me, and posted on Patreon and on Twitter. Because apparently people want to know. So, don't ask me why, or say, well, I don't care. Nobody cares about this. Obviously, they do. So, here we go. All right, first one, J.P. Morgan Chase, the mortgage holder for the Watts home. They have delayed the sale of the home through the auction. As we all were aware, it has now been moved to July. It will either be the second week in July or in the following week after that, the last weekend of July. They have no tentative actual date when they're going to actually have the auction. Now, J.P. Morgan Chase has decided to go about this a little bit differently. They have offered the Ruschek family 3 options and this is what I'm telling you, comes directly from J.P. Morgan Chase in their statement. They have decided to hold off on the house until the civil suit for wrongful death has been completed. And once that is completed, then they will move forward. And that should be done no later than the middle of June, June right in there. So given about 3 weeks afterwards is when they're going to have the actual sale. And that's why they don't have they only have a tentative idea of when they're going to actually have the auction. But the 3 things that they are offering the Ruscheks are, after the civil trial is over with, if it is in their favor, to do the following. 1, transfer the sale of the home in exchange for a lien that they would place on the home. So they would transfer, Shan'ann's share is 50% of the home right now. And the 50% that is the Christopher Watts, he would lose, obviously, in the civil trial. That would then transfer to the Ruscheks in exchange for a lien on the home, which they would get actual paid, compensations for later on. But there's a little caveat to that is what they need to do is they need to pay the missing mortgage payments between now and the actual sale. So if they make 3 monthly payments, which would catch it up to this point, it would still be behind, but it would catch it up to this point. And then they could put it off until July. If they do that, then that's what they'll do. They will definitely get far more money going that route as opposed to the other way. All right. The other option is, along with delaying the sale, they could pick a date later on than July. They could move it out to a further date during the summer when they would be able to more conceivably recoup a larger amount of money for the bank and get more in home sale value. So if they moved it off to, say, the end of July or farther out from that, they would probably get more at the peak of the market for people wanting and looking for homes as the new oil wells are being drilled. They need to bring in more employees, and there's so few houses available in that area right now. It would definitely give them more money in the long run. The third option is that if the Ruscheks pay up the mortgage payments, and they will transfer the home to them, and then they will put the house into what's called a protective A trust. I guess there's an A, a B, and a C trust, but they had put it in an A trust account. So basically, it would be unattachable from anyone else to be able to sue to try to recoup any kind of money from that. So that's where they've given them the actual option, those 3 options, and they are keeping the Ruscheks and exploring all options with them. All right. Excuse me. Dodge Correction Center and the petition. And people bothering the Dodge Correction Center trying to get information on Christopher Watts. First off, the Department of Corrections, the DOC in the state of Wisconsin, has a public relations department, and it still shocks me to this day that anybody would make the assumption that you should contact the actual prison themselves or the warden. The warden, do you think he has information on all, 1,100 plus, inmates that are in the Dodge Correction Center, or how many there are at this current time? I know what the capacity is, but I'm pretty sure that they're past what the prison capacity was actually built for. Because they do that all the time. They'll build a prison for 1,900 prisoners, and then down the road they'll apply and they'll get an agreement to put bunk beds into certain cells, and therefore the level will go up to 2,500. I'm just using it as an example. That's not the actual capacity, but it happens all the time. And then they'll take some gymnasiums will be turned into dormitory style prison areas for beds, but that's more in the lower level, not so much at the I don't know of a maximum security prison that does that, but it could happen, something along those lines. But people are still calling the warden's office, and it is true. And I will give that other creator over there rights. Please stop calling them. They don't want to answer your questions about Christopher Watts. And if I was the warden's office, if the first thing out of your mouth or anywhere in the conversation you mentioned Christopher Watts, I'd hang the damn phone up. They're not going to answer your questions because they're being inundated, especially with this petition thing that's out there. And moving on to the petition. Yay! Alrighty. So, according to the Dodge Correction Center, the petition is baseless and has no legal merit at all. Even though 16,000 or 20,000 of you have signed the petition, the same thing I was saying before is that it is baseless. You cannot change the law to punish one prisoner and ignore all the other prisoners that are out there. If they changed the law, it would have to go against everybody. You can't just punish one person with the law. And according to the Dodge Correction Center, incarcerated inmates are permitted to possess personal items, including photos. This is actually part of the international law on human rights for prisoners, and it's also part of the law and rules within our actual prison system. So for them to change it to get Christopher Watts to remove the photos from his cell of his family, you would have to change federal law. You can't just change it on a state law. Even if you were able to fast track it, like I said before, on the state level, it would become unconstitutional against all inmates within the state of Wisconsin, and it would be challenged immediately by groups like the ACLU, and Amnesty International. They would challenge that in a heartbeat, and they would win. So it would be absolutely, pointless to even try. Before they could even take the photos from him, if they were to change the law, these groups would be right in there immediately to protect all the prisoners from having their personal property that has been allowed underneath the law right now to be removed. So, all right. On that same note, though, let's talk about the fact that Christopher Watts has photos. You need to understand, first off, the myth behind the fact that these photos of his family are somehow a trophy. They are not a trophy. A trophy in that aspect of a personal item like a photograph of his deceased family would not pertain to Christopher Watts. That would pertain more to a serial killer or someone who has a neurotic fixation with their victim. Christopher Watts, the photos that he has, he disdains. He disdained his family so much that that's why he killed them. It was to stop them from becoming someone like him. He didn't want them to suffer anymore. Now, I know it's messed up. It's really messed up. But that's how he saw it in his mind. In his mind, he worked it up to the point, and all family annihilators do the same thing. They get rid of their family, and in their mind, they do this to stop them from becoming someone like him. They do this to stop their suffering, their pain, their ridicule that the world is going to give them, because that's how they see it in their mind. Because they take everything in as like, oh my God, all this is happening to me, but look, it's also happening to them. I have to stop this. I have to kill the whole family. That is their only way out. They divorce, walking away, none of that is ever an option in the mind of a family annihilator. They're a very, very, very small, tiny breed of killers out there. And yes, there are some who are family annihilators who will kill all the family but one child, because they see that one child as separate. They see that one child as completely different from the rest of the family. They are not being ridiculed. They are not being punished like the actual killer and the rest of them. But in Christopher Watts' case, the photos are not a trophy. Anybody who says that these are trophies, of his victims, and he has then victimized them again. I don't know how you victimize somebody who's already dead, but I mean, he's not trading the photos. That part of it was completely ridiculous. He wouldn't want to, because in his mind, still, if he was to lose those photos, they would be victimized by somebody else. So he's not trading his photos with other inmates or pedophiles or anything like that the other person over there said. That's complete hogwash. He would do everything and anything to protect that photo, because that is his. That is his photo of his family, and it reminds him of a better time. A time before he built up in his mind that this is what had to happen. So, it's not a trophy. You can't take the photos from him underneath the law. Don't like it? Starting a petition to, on petition.org or there's like actually 3 of them. There was a lady who started one months before that guy over there did it. But her petition has got very little traction. But she started it way beforehand. And do you think his idea was original? Sorry, but it wasn't. Just like all the other things that he said. And he'll probably get something from this photo and from this video and put it up in one of his next ones. So that's the way it works out here on YouTube land. You have an original idea, someone's going to rip you off in a heartbeat. You tell someone the truth, they're going to rip you off in a heartbeat. So, all right, in closing, so I can go on to bigger and better things with my day. JP Morgan Chase, the statement is on their website. Don't contact the Dodge Correction Warden because he doesn't want to talk to you. And they have a public relations department to deal with such inquiries. The petition on that one as well. Yeah, I'm not telling you not to sign it. I'm telling you, you're foolish to sign it because it's not going to do anything for taking the photos away. But you know what? People do all kinds of things with their time, and that is up to you, isn't it? You have the right to sign it, and if you want to sign it because it makes you feel better, go right ahead. I'm just telling you, it's never going to happen. Not a chance. We're not going to change international law. Because, if we change the laws for what's here in America, you have to understand that a lot of Americans get arrested overseas, abroad. And when they get arrested overseas, we want them treated humanely. And we have these rules and laws in place for a reason. Because we want our citizens to be treated humanely when they're locked up, in some foreign country. So, hey, thank you for joining me. And you stay safe out there.